All right. Happy Monday night. Hope you guys are doing well. A little late today, but we are here and we're ready to rock for the Q&A. Um, man, what a day. Hope you guys had a good one, a good start to the week. Got some interesting things going on in the market. You had Tether move 370 million Tether over to Binance today. Then you saw the rise on BTC very shortly after that. So I don't know. Is there manipulation? I mean, I think there is. Um, we'll see. What actually ends up playing out. It's the first time that they have minted Tether in a while. They had an executive step down. You had Trudeau step down today there in Canada. The Canadian dollar was way up against other currencies on that news Sunday evening. A lot of people were excited about that. Um, you know, Problems there in Canada have been prevalent since he became prime minister. You've also got Japan, which is what we've been watching. A lot of people that have watched my channel and have followed the domino theory. That's been the main thing that we've been watching for the last 9 months here, since I put that video out back in March last year, talking about how the reverse carry trade would unwind and then cause a dump of treasuries, then to instate stablecoin regulation, give full clarity to XRP, which would also, give cause to be able to sanction Tether, and unwind that bubble that's been printed there, that's been propping up Bitcoin with all the ETF flows or inflows here in 2024. We're actually 2025 now. Happy New Year. Um, we It's been a crazy ride since the ETFs went live for Bitcoin back on January 10th last year. So, if Tether were to get delisted and sanctioned, you could see some pretty significant implications for Bitcoin. If you saw huge outflows in the ETFs and they had to sell and liquidate positions there, because they do not settle real time like crypto does, there could be substantial unrealized losses, especially now that there's options on those contracts. And I think that when IBIT came out and put out the options on the ETFs, everybody just went lever long. They didn't hedge, which is what I was hoping people would do. I was hoping that they would take out some short positions, or buy options to the downside to be able to hedge their portfolio. But people did not do that. They just doubled down on the gambling that's been going on. And so there's definitely systemic risk when it comes to Bitcoin at this point for the broader stock market and the derivatives that are placed on top of it there. So at least you don't have perps legal here in the U.S. yet. You have to go offshore for that. So definitely not available on ETFs. But I do think there's enough systemic risk. If we saw Tether get sanctioned, you would see huge outflows from BTC, huge unrealized losses for the investment banks, and they would need a mechanism in order to de-risk from that and settle real time, which I believe is XRP, especially if it has institutional or congressional clarity under the Stablecoin Act as a bridge currency. And FinCEN obviously, also designated XRP as a currency back in 2014 when they fined Ripple. So, the ongoing suit with the SEC is yet to end. They've had the appeal. You had a long, drawn-out holiday here. Ripple did issue a tender offer on their shares. They're buying them back for $125 a share, which is the highest tender offer that they've ever put out. They're putting out $500 million to buy back their own shares at that share price, which is pretty bullish to me. Makes me feel like they're pretty confident that they're going to get a good return on that investment. If they feel that that's the best way that they can allocate their capital is to buy back shares and provide liquidity for shareholders on the private market, then they think they're going to make money on those shares if they're buying them back. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ripple go public, either through a direct listing or a SPAC or an acquisition. I don't think it'll be a traditional IPO here in 2025. Very hopeful to see that on the Texas Stock Exchange. We'll see if that ends up being where it's at. But yeah, I'm kind of biased here in Dallas. I would love to see it be here. So anyway, that's, for those that may have not ever heard my domino theory before, it's very dependent on Japan raising interest rates and seeing the reverse carry trade unwind, and that will be globally catastrophic for markets as a whole, but specifically for U.S. Treasuries as people deleverage their positions there to be able to pay back their loans in yen, and remove the quote unquote risk free yield that they've been earning over the last 20, 30 years here, as Japan has been extremely low interest rates. People have been able to borrow yen and then put that to work other places. There's tens of trillions of dollars that have been borrowed in yen over the past 30 years or so, that have been put to work in that capacity. There's a gentleman that stated that on Twitter the other day. He was like, I think I'm about borrowing about some yen, and I'm going to put it to work in BTC. And I was like, and Nvidia was his other one. Like, you're a little late to this game, brother. Um, so anyway, I think that they are going to raise rates. I do think the Fed could potentially lower rates. They have a meeting, an FOMC meeting this week. Be interesting to see what they do, if they pause or hold here, if they continue to lower. Last two Fed meetings have been 25 basis point cuts, which is 1/4% here in the U.S., which does continue to squeeze that margin on the variable rate loans there in Japan as interest rates there rise. The yen did fall to 158 to each U.S. dollar today, which is bullish for this. Them raising rates. They need to strengthen their currency against the U.S. dollar. And the last time that they raised interest rates was when we saw that start to really become aggressive back in August of 2024. I think it was around the 13th of August. We saw a huge sell-off in stocks. Maybe it was earlier than that. I think it was earlier than that in August. It was like a 13% sell-off in the stock market, when we saw them, begin to unwind the reverse carry trade because they raised interest rates aggressively, and people thought, oh no, I got to get out of these positions. So I think they've given a lot of people enough time to de-risk, if they thought that that was going to be a problem. And now when they do this, that's just going to be people that are glutton for punishment or can't get out of those positions, right? Um, Excited for stablecoin regulations here in the U.S. If that does transpire, I think that you're going to see, large institutions and enterprises launch stablecoins. Every single bank, every single credit card company, Amex, Visa, PayPal, Mastercard, um, Amazon, Google, Apple, Tesla. I think they'll all have their own stablecoin, and they'll hold reserves of U.S. Treasuries, and then they will back those with those, and that'll soak up all those U.S. Treasuries that are dumped onto the market, when the reverse carry trade unwinds. So hopefully that provides you some insight. I just wanted to start it off that way this evening. We'll go ahead and hop into the questions here. We do these every Monday and Wednesday night here on YouTube, X, and on TikTok. Coming to Instagram soon. Hopefully next week we can get that situated. So without further ado, we'll hop into the questions. Anything is fair game when it comes to estate planning, taxes, global finance, digital assets. Yeah, up to you guys. So go ahead and jump in here. Emilio says, hey, Jake, I know you used to invest in the stock market. That's where I made a good chunk of change in 2020. I did also until I heard about XRP and then moved everything to XRP. Smart person. If the day comes where crypto's ROI isn't great, where would you invest? Always looking for asymmetric bets, and we do that at Digital Wealth Partners. So it's the RIA that we formed. We work with people that hold large amounts of XRP in order to be able to generate yield on that. Hopefully that's coming later this month, and provide other services around that, including institutional custody and financial advisory. But we always look to provide, asymmetric bets, whether that's in private equity or real estate. I like alternatives. I think there's more alpha, or returns, or ROI, whatever you want to call it, in alternative investments. The only downside there is they tend to be more illiquid than stocks, and it's much more difficult to get margin or borrow against it, than something that's publicly traded and very liquid. So as things progress here, and alternative assets become tokenized, I think that they will become much more liquid, and you will see a brand new allocation strategy. I think a lot of family offices and high net worth individuals, I mean, I know this, they don't tend to allocate more than 25% of their total portfolio toward alternative investments, just because they are illiquid for extended periods of time, and they are riskier, obviously, versus public equities or indexes or mutual funds or a lot of the things on that side of the fence, annuities. Um, might do fund of funds, and again, that still becomes illiquid. It's difficult to get people off of cap tables. So we're working on solutions right now to be able to create tokenized SPVs with Syndicately. If you guys want to go check that out, we are hopefully going to launch the beta for that here soon. We have released a book with that. So I'll go ahead and put that up here at the top if you guys want to. Well, I guess it's not on here. I thought we still had it over here. But if you want to go check out Wealth in Numbers is the name of the book, and you can just Google that and then put my name, Jake Claver, or Max Avery, my partner. We published that book together. We are partners in Syndicately and put that out. And so would love to have some more reviews on that, some more orders. We did have it available to be able to download it for free up until January 2nd over there on Amazon and on Kindle. I think it's like $5.89 is what it is now. So if you think that's funny, if you know XRP, you probably think that's funny. It's on purpose. So if you want to go check that out and leave us a review, it would be very much appreciated. Thank you guys over here on TikTok and on YouTube and X. I think it's a pretty good read. It's very comprehensive. It goes over everything that you need to know if you're raising capital using a Reg D fund here in the U.S., using a 506B or 506C. SPVs or special purpose vehicles, to be able to pool capital from investors to make an investment, syndicate a deal for real estate or private equity. We run a lot of deals in our mastermind, Beyond Broke Mastermind, if you want to go check it out. We've done a lot of deals for Ripple. I can talk about past deals. We've done other deals in there for other cutting edge companies. We'll continue to offer really cool investments through that group moving forward. So yeah, and I will say this, Emilio, also, most of the family offices that I work with, they have lanes that they participate in. They have areas of competency where they've made their money. And so they try to stick to those, right? Like if you made a bunch of money in digital assets, you probably understand digital assets pretty well. You understand utility tokens, you understand the utility of these networks and why they're going to appreciate in value over time and why you might hold something over something else. So I anticipate a lot of our clients at Digital Wealth Partners and Digital Family Office will continue to hold significant portions of their wealth in digital assets as they continue to appreciate and grow over time. We've seen and worked with other families that hold Bitcoin and they've made their money there. They're keeping, I would say 50% or more sometimes of their net worth in Bitcoin. They're able to borrow against it or sell off portions strategically to acquire other assets and diversify their portfolio as the asset appreciated. And I think that that's a really smart way to go about it. I think borrowing against an asset that's going to continue to appreciate in value over time is a really fantastic way to implement infinite banking. And then be able to take that liquidity and put it into other investments that, are going to generate cash flow to service that debt, appreciate in value, and generate excess cash flows for you to offset or pay for your lifestyle. And then also, if they are hard tangible assets, you get tax breaks, right? So if they're a business, if they're real estate, you can use cost seg on real estate and pull forward a lot of the depreciation to offset the income on a property. After 5 years, you're out of that. But businesses, laundromats, car washes, there's a ton of stuff that's going to come onto the market over the next 5 to 10 years here. We had Ben Kelly in the mastermind just 2 weeks ago talking about how to acquire boring businesses. He's acquired 8 boring businesses over the last 5 years and currently pays himself close to $1 million a year for working 18 hours a week in those businesses. So, if that tells you, the opportunity that exists there, we work with him to figure out, how to get SBA loans and coordinate those purchases for our clients and their for people in the mastermind also work with him. So if you want to check out the mastermind, I think it's great. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the people there. We have almost 1,200 members at this point, which is crazy to think about. But if you do want to check it out for a month for free, I do these multiple times a week in there. We have special guests that come in and talk about different areas of their expertise and share insights with the group. And then again, we also run the private deals, right? So that code, if you want to go check it out, if you go to mastermind.beyondbroke.com, the code is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like month. Get you a free month there in the group, either the social membership or Carbon One. Check it out. If you don't like it for whatever reason, give us some feedback on your way out, how we can improve. We're always looking to provide as much value for people as we possibly can. I have paid thousands and thousands of dollars to be a part of other mastermind groups that didn't give anywhere near the value that we do. We also have an insurance program for people that are part of the group. So we piggyback on another association. If you are older and you're looking to get health insurance, it's a pretty good deal there in the group, and we can quote that for you. It's a health share plan, so it's not quite the same as traditional insurance. You have some out-of-pocket costs up to 3 times a year. That's what I use for me and my family, and it's been really great. So never seen anybody else do that. Never, been a part of, like I said, 3, 4 other masterminds. None of them have ever put together an insurance program for the group of people. None of them have ever run private deals. None of them have provided as much educational content as we do. They do some events. We also do live events for people in real life here in Dallas and across the nation. We try to do those quarterly where people are able to meet up in person and have conversations with myself, with some of the other professionals in the group, and also just get to know other group members who have aligned interests and synergies to be able to do business together. So again, super proud of that group, and would love to have you guys in it if that's something you're interested in. Rando, you were correct. I thought it would be by this year. I was wrong. Yoshitaka Kitao talked a big game and said that by 2025, all the banks in Japan would be using XRP. I still don't think it's going to be that much longer. But yes, to your point, I was wrong. And XRP is not being used in Japan currently. I'm okay when I'm wrong, right? Like I'm okay to make a prediction, and if put my neck on the line, and when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong, and I appreciate you pointing it out. I'm hopeful that things will transpire here very quickly in 2025, and maybe I'm off by a couple weeks, but either way, you're correct. It wasn't in 2024. Atlantic Living. Canadians are having an extremely difficult challenge finding XDC on exchanges. Interesting. Good to know. Many show it on them, but are prevented to buy it. Some don't take CND, Canadian dollars, as currency. Are you aware of any alternatives? That's a good question. BitTrue or Bybit? Maybe some places that you go, VPN. We can get it for our clients at Digital Wealth Partners through Kraken. They do sell it on their exchange. We can't custody it for them. They'd have to move it off into a cold wallet. We recommend Decent to hold your XDC, but we are pushing them to provide institutional custody for XDC, hopefully here by the end of Q1. We have a way that we should be able to provide yield in the mastermind for people on their XDC also by the end of Q1 here. If you are a decent holder of XDC, could be earning somewhere between 5 and 8% returns on it if you're there in the mastermind. So anyway, you always ask fantastic questions. I wish that I had a better answer for you for Canadians up there. Hopefully it becomes the 51st state. Just kidding. It's a funny meme that's going around. I can follow up there in Grinhouse. So he's our main estate planner up there, and he normally has a pretty good grasp on what exchanges and partners allow for people to purchase certain assets. So I'll reach out to him this week on XDC and see what that's going to look like and who he would recommend if he knows somebody up there that works with people and can allow them to purchase that. You might also work with an OTC desk. Caleb and Brown, it would be my recommendation. I know their fees are steep, but if you want to reach out to them, I did a video with them not too long ago, maybe 3 months ago. I had Jake on. It's another Jake, but he's at Caleb and Brown there. And we talked about that. And you should be able to establish an account there. Anybody globally can, and they can source whatever digital assets you want. Uphold would be another brokerage that I would recommend. Not sure how available that is to Canadians. Hopefully it's not my, people in New York, but those would be my two recommendations because they are brokers. They source liquidity from all over, and they do, provide ways to do that. Just to hop over to TikTok here. People ask really good questions across the board. I would say that people on TikTok tend to ask more about price on things or when to buy certain assets. I'll say this: I do not think it's too late to buy XRP. I'm still buying XRP here at $2.40. Never thought that. Didn't think that I was going to have the capability to do that for one, but I am still purchasing. The lawsuit has afforded a lot of people to, pack their bags for way longer than they thought that they would be able to. And so with that, just still trying to take advantage of the opportunity as it exists here and capitalize on it because I do believe that XRP is going to 3 or 4 digits like Atlantic Living here in 2025. Again, it's all dependent on Japan, right? I'm highly confident that my domino theory will play out, and the speed at which you will see XRP's value escalate will be head spinning for most people. Faces will melt, is what people say. But yeah, I think it's going to move substantially higher at a rate that's going to be really hard for people to grasp or understand. Once we do see, some congressional regulation, stablecoin regulation, and also a systemic event or a credit crisis that would happen if the reverse carry trade would unwind. The DTCC would need a way to be able to settle things in real time. You've got Project Ion that was developed with R3 back in 2020, all the way through 2022 is when they finalized that project. And to my understanding, that's running in tandem with the current stock market. So, they did implement T+1 back on May 28th last year. If you read that documentation, it says that it's capable of real-time settlement with a digital asset. But there has to be enough liquidity in XRP in order to be able to facilitate that. So that's just another little tick. Things that I pick up on and notice when I read. There's a lot of really good researchers out there in the XRP community that put out a lot of really good content. Mr. Mann, shout out to him. There's tons of people, So if you're one of those people that needs a lot of, this, like actual physical evidence of stuff, I'd encourage you to go look at people. Smoke, SMQKE, also out there on Twitter, does a really good job of putting together things. There's a ton of researchers in this community that have found just article after article, thing after thing. There's been stuff that's been taken down years ago that people have cataloged that listed XRP and Ripple in certain circumstances. So I'm highly confident that it is going to happen. I know that it's taken a lot longer than most people had anticipated or would want, but I do see 3 to 4 digits happening in the very, very near future. Glitching the Matrix, interesting name. Thank you from all of us. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the kind words. I'm looking forward to reaching the 500K threshold. May great health and peace be with all of us. Absolutely. I like your message. I will say this. I'm only going to mention one time in public. We have moved things down for Mastermind members to 50,000 XRP to be able to onboard with DWP for the next 5 days. So if you have an LLC, you move your assets in there and you do have, 50,000 XRP, you do have to be part of the Mastermind. But if you're in the Mastermind, we will afford you the ability to move your assets into institutional custody, and we should have yield again on those assets by the end of the month. We also have the capability to allow you to borrow against them already. We're continuing to work on other financial products and services there at Digital Wealth Partners that are innovative and pretty cool. I'll continue to roll those things out and talk about them as they are finalized. But yeah, super excited. So if you do have 50,000 XRP and you have an LLC set up, or if you just have 50,000 XRP and you want institutional custody, you want insurance on your assets, you want advisors to talk to about things, you want to potentially earn yield on your XRP sitting in a safe account where I don't want to say nobody can hack it, but the keys are sharded and held across HSMs or hardware security modules and level 4 facilities globally. They wouldn't have structured it that way or be able to capture the insurance that they have on it through Lloyd's of London if it wasn't extremely secure. So anyway, would love to work with you in that capacity if it's something you're interested in. Conservative asset class. Thank you for the super chat. They say, how'd Jake please explain more alternatives than selling XRP staking FS as lending custody, selling being the least choice, keep being the great. Appreciate you on the kind words. I mean, you listed a bunch of alternatives here to selling. So earning yield on your XRP, borrowing against it. We work with clients to be able to structure an insurance policy where you can invest your XRP in kind into the PPLI policy and then borrow against the cash value of it. Yeah, you need at least $5 million in total value to be able to do that. But if we see $100 XRP, $1,000 XRP, highly confident that a lot of people will be able to meet that minimum and have a great infinite banking with their digital assets, set their trust up as the beneficiary, and then be able to borrow against it their entire life, watch it appreciate, generate yield, pay the loan off, and whatever's not paid off at the end of your life, you don't have to worry about because the insurance policy covers it. So super crazy, the Rockefeller method that they put together. Our main PPLI provider and partner that we work with used to work for the Rockefeller family office. So he's got it down, and super excited to work with Brandon in order to bring that to digital assets. But that would be the only other thing that you didn't mention here that I would point to. Borrowing against it obviously is tax-free and much cheaper than paying taxes if you sell. He's talking about the minimum. You need to be a Mastermind member to get the special. That is correct. XRP Will over here on TikTok says, been here for 7 years. The time has come. The year will be 100x current XRP price. I would agree with that. I think that's coming. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by the price appreciation. We do have another super chat. Wild Bill, 589. Thank you, sir. What's been the strangest argument against institutional adoption of XRP you've encountered? Were you able to reach a satisfactory solution to it? We've run into a lot of people that are big on Bitcoin for whatever reason, and I can understand why, right? Like, you continue to see price appreciation. It's continued to go up over time. You've seen more adoption. You've seen governments. You've seen companies put it on their balance sheet. There's talk about an institution or a corporate and government reserve here in the U.S. And people sometimes are like, so as an example, I was at an event earlier this year where a lady, was like, I said crypto, and she was like, we don't say crypto, we say Bitcoin. And I was like, excuse me? She was like, no, there's no other crypto, it's just Bitcoin. Okay, that seems, kind of closed-minded, but fine. So to answer your question, there's been people that I've talked to that were just so obstinate against looking at anything else that it wasn't worth my time even trying to convince them otherwise. Most of those circumstances, I just, nod along and I'm nice and I don't, because it's not going to serve me or them to try to fight their conviction, right? I have a very high conviction on XRP and other, specific assets that we talk about: XLM, HBAR, Algorand, IOTA, even to a lesser extent, Quant. There's a lot of people that are bullish on Quant. I still don't completely get that one because it's not being used to transmit value over the network. It just pays the fees. Um, so, have a hard time with that one. But DAG is another one recently that we're looking at. Avalanche, I think, is another good project. Chainlink, Flare. There's tons. I say tons. There's probably about 50 to 75 digital assets. Polymath is another one to look at that'll be here on the other side of price appreciation. And also, when they invoke regulation in the space. Brad Garlinghouse talked about it. He said 99.95% of crypto goes to zero. We got like 50,000 cryptos at this point, all these meme coins and crazy stuff that people put out. All that junk's going to zero. I think that there's going to be a market for some of that, but I think it's going to be very nascent in comparison to the broader market and the adoption of these networks. So that, you asked about a specific instance where I've encountered somebody that was, against XRP. If they're a Bitcoin maxi and they really just can't see anything else, most of the time in those circumstances, I get them to tell me the bad things about Bitcoin. If I have had a conversation with them, I'm like, man, I tried to send some Bitcoin the other day and just took so long for it to land. And they're like, yeah, that's pretty normal. It takes a while. I'm like, it was kind of expensive to send it to. And they're like, yeah, you can't use it for a cup of coffee or anything. And I'm like, oh, so it's like digital gold. They're like, yeah, store value. That makes sense. That's the narrative. I'm like, well, what about a payment crypto? Like, you think there's anything else? And they're like, well, you could use the Lightning Network. And I'm like, well, that's kind of like a layer 2. Do you think there's anything that's a layer 1 that would work really well? And then they'd like pause and think about it, right? I don't try to I want somebody else to work through it for me. Because if I just like, no, you're wrong, it's this, people don't tend to react well to that. So anyway, that's my circumstance where there's been a couple times I just haven't even tried to convince people or help them. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not skipping anybody over here on TikTok. Crypto Slayer says, I don't understand the tribalism in crypto world. BTC has its place along with XRP and XLM. I agree. I think that a store of value, there's definitely an application for that, and obviously it's gained a lot of market share for being that. Nzinga says, what's the safest way to protect your digital assets in a cold wallet ledger safe? I would stay away from Ledger. I've had Ledgers early on since they implemented the backdoor and updated the firmware and talked about that. Not my favorite thing. We look at Decent. We're partnered with them. You can check out the link in the description below. So I'm biased. They compensate me if you go buy one. But I think it's a good product. So, we talk about them. We do have a partnership with them. It's an affiliate agreement. I'll make like $5 or something when somebody buys a Decent wallet. But I think it's a good product. I've used it in the past. We currently, have one. It's got a biometric on there. You can add a 25th seed word so that it's more secure than just the 24. It's got a very wide variety of digital assets that you can hold on that device. The interface is intuitive. I like it. So outside of institutional custody, that's my preference. I've used Trezor, Engrave, LEPAL, like you name it. For XRP, I like Xman, XAMAN, formerly Zum or Sum, however you want to say it. We'd say Win has that product. You can use a Tangent card with it. I think that's good. But for a full scope of digital assets, Decent, hands down, is my favorite cold wallet. It's good. Lucas says, any scenario where the government's forced buyback of utility tokens instead of allowing lending, like when we came off the gold standard, so they can't. They might be able to with some of them, but XRP in particular, it cannot be frozen. It cannot be clawed back. The origin account that minted all the XNS, which is what originally it was, before it was Ripples and then XRP later on, is black holed. So because of that, they can never mint anymore. It's the only deflationary thing on the entire planet, besides isotopes that have short half lives. Um, there's less and less XRP every single day. And again, they can't freeze it. They can't claw it back. Like there is an amendment that's being proposed for whitelisted wallet addresses, so that you would be able to have a trusted wallet address that only that wallet address you could send your XRP to. We had green listed wallet addresses when we worked with standard custody, so it was a feature that you could enact, on your account there, and basically, even if somebody hacked you, they could only send the XRP to your cold wallet, which is the only place it could go. They couldn't send it to their wallet address. I think that that's pretty cool, right? So if you just plan on holding it in institutional custody, borrowing against it, using it to earn yield and live off of it forever, um, probably only need one or two whitelisted wallet addresses that could be sent to in order to move it out of that account. And again, we would facilitate that. But the government, like, you have to sign. We can't lock up your stuff, even on the institutional custody side. You have to sign in order to be able to move the assets. So the government can't come in and be like, we're taking those. Nope, sorry, you can't, because we can't sign the transaction. The client has to sign the transaction, and we're beholden to you, and we have to sign the transaction when you say to sign it. So anyway, I don't think that there'll be something like that. I do think that there could be, the government could bring out a quantum computer and start hacking wallets and taking tokens if they weren't held in institutional custody. That's possible, but outside of that, there's really no forced way that they could take the assets from you. So if you're holding it in institutional custody, the keys are sharded. They can't hack it with a quantum computer. If you do have a cold wallet, David Schwartz has said if you've only ever sent to the wallet, you've never sent out of the wallet, then it's technically quantum proof because you haven't exposed both the keys. So, if you are concerned about that, that would be my recommendation. If you don't have it in institutional custody, have a wallet you've only sent the assets to. You never sent the assets out of that wallet. If you do send them out of that wallet, I would rekey it or send it to a whole new wallet for whatever portion you're going to keep there. So maybe you send a portion to an exchange and you send the rest of it to a new wallet you create. Or again, rekey it after you've made the transactions. Let's see here. You say my mic sounds semi-terrible. Well, that's unfortunate. Is that any better? It's over here. I've got it right here. So, appreciate the heads up on that. Hopefully, it's not semi-terrible. If it is, I will get with my media team, and we will run it down. But I thank you for bringing it to my attention, Ron. Hopefully, you can bear with it for the rest of this, evening here. He says it sounds great. I don't know. We'll look at it either way. Misfits 15. I like the name. Very good. LLC formation went smooth and fast with DWP. Awesome. Looking forward to next steps and onboarding. Fantastic. Glad to hear it and excited to work with you over there at Digital Wealth Partners. Let's see here. Nope, we've already done that one. Let me see if I can find any other super chats over here. I know a lot of people have asked a lot of questions. Here's one. Monopoly Money 2024. Appreciate the super chat. He says, hi, Jake. Can you say you work with people that have large amounts of XRP? What do you consider a large amount of XRP? More than 10 million? I would consider a pretty large amount of XRP. If you've got 8 figures in XRP, you're doing pretty good. That's a large amount, whale, in my opinion. If you're 9 figures in XRP, you're probably in super early. You're an employee at Ripple, or you're a banker institution that's holding XRP. I haven't met any high net worth individuals that are holding 9 figures worth of XRP. Well, I say that I've met Brad Garlinghouse in person, so that's wrong. But aside from Brad, there's not anybody else that I know specifically that holds that amount of XRP. But But yeah, if you got 8 digits, like I've talked to a lot of people. There's I don't know. I could probably count on, that'd be a little more than two hands, the amount of people that I know have that amount. But um, I mean, you asked, I'm just trying to be transparent. And again, I don't want to make anybody feel small here. If you have any XRP, you're way ahead of anybody in the general population. So do not feel like your bag is not big. It will be meaningful, especially as we see price appreciation. Just, he asked a specific question here, and so giving him an answer. Honest Aim, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you. He said, wife and I are excited about Anchorage custody with yield, private equity deals, growing mastermind community and support, your expert leadership and support, on and on. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the kind words, Honest Aim. I was excited to see you guys last week. I don't have my cactus here with me. It's in the other room, but I did water it. So thank you again for the gift. Alfredo, hola! What's up, man? He says, hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. I always like the hola. It's awesome. It's like Ray's love you mucho. Anyway, looking forward to using your services. Excited for that as well. When will we be able to custody HBAR? Ooh, that reminds me. I have an announcement, which is pretty exciting. So Q1, I'm expecting Q1. If Archax reached out to Graham today, actually, I need to see if he messaged me back, CEO over there at Archax. Anyway, like to have him on, talk about, because they provide custody for XLM, HBAR, Algorand, on and on. So, we're pushing for the end of Q1 here. Can't make any promises. My compliance team gets mad at me when I name specific timelines. I'm hopeful for, by the end of Q1 here on HBAR custody. The other thing that's super awesome is we will be able to custody, get ready for it, XLM by the end of the month here. So if you have XRP and XLM and those are your two larger bags and you want to work with us for institutional custody at Digital Wealth Partners, we got you. Super excited to hear that from Anchorage, that they were going to be able to accomplish that. And people have asked about layer twos. We talk about a lot of this stuff in the mastermind, and all those people there get all this information before anybody else here publicly. Talk about Stronghold or Velo. I do think that there will be capability to work with those digital assets because they are on top of Hyperledger. Just like anything that's EVM based, it's pretty easy for them to spin up a custody solution for that. So I know there are people out there that are holding larger amounts of Stronghold or Velo, and so we should be able to work with them. I'm hopeful again, kind of like Q1, maybe Q2 here of 2025. Living Legacy, thank you for the super chat. Or it's just Legacy 554. Thank you for the super chat. I'll try to find your question down here below, and if I don't, just appreciate you for the $5. Mark Klein Jr. He says, I got about 10K to invest in crypto. I like XRP, HBAR, XLM. I have 3 small positions in those coins. Should I split between? I can't give you financial advice, Mark. I can only tell you what I'm doing, and you make your own decisions. Okay? I can't give, again, if you want financial advice, you can go to Digital Wealth Partners. They'll tell you exactly how you should allocate it, what your portfolio should look like based on your specific circumstances and your long-term goals, time horizon, all the other stuff. I'm just going to speak about what Jake Claver does, okay? Super bullish on all 3 of those assets. I don't own anything but XRP. That's all I invest in. It's the only thing I'm absolutely sure on has the most significant ROI of anything you've listed there. So it's just my thesis. I'm just one guy on the internet. Take it with a grain of salt. Again, I can only speak to what I'm doing. You make your own financial decisions, not financial advice. Guess I should do the whole spiel. Nothing here is financial advice, only for entertainment and educational purposes only. Always consult with your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. I'm just a guy on the internet. So, Kevin, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you doing that. It does help the channel grow, and it does help other people get exclusive content here. Some of the videos we put out, you do get earlier on if you are a member of the channel, and if you're, again, a member of the Mastermind, you get a lot of exclusive content there as well. Living Legacy, he says the Mastermind is definitely full of knowledge and great community to grow. Yeah, thank you for that, brother. Excited to have you part of that community, and all your contributions are noted and appreciated. He normally reminds me, and so I'll remind you, if you do like this content, if this is cool, if you've got some value from it, learned something new, please like, subscribe, share with somebody that you think it would be valuable to have the discussion with. All that does help the algorithm and help us get out there to more people, and it is very much appreciated. Probably hang out maybe another 40 minutes here. I wrap it up around 10:30 or so. Let's see where we're at. I'll take a couple over here on TikTok because I've been neglecting you. He says I only have invested in XRP and XLM. This is Tim Hole 3. Where are you located? We're in Dallas. Is where I'm located, but we are fully decentralized. So we have people in the Northeast, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Connecticut, New York, Florida, a lot of people here in Texas, and then also some people in California as well, and Washington. So, Utah and Wyoming. So, all over the nation, we work with people. One of our CPAs is also in Arizona. So, depending on where you are, we do, have people that you can talk to. That's the other wonderful thing about the Mastermind group, I would say, is, people, we're global. We have people in there from Japan, Brazil, Canada, the UK, the Middle East. I don't know if we have Hong Kong or not. Trying to think if we have anybody else that I missed. I feel like there's one more. Oh, Australia. Probably a lot of people on here right now watching in Australia and New Zealand. Iceland. We got somebody else from Iceland the other day. So yeah, just crazy to know that there are people globally that are in that group. They all have different, tax considerations and jurisdictions that they live in. We have specific channels in the Mastermind for different jurisdictions and the things that go along with that. You can meet other people in your locale that are there in the Mastermind and be able to chat. And it's hard if you are invested in this asset class. A lot of the time, you're alienated or ostracized by your family or loved ones. Some friends, they think you're crazy because you see something that they don't. And I would say, yes, you are. The actual definition of crazy is that you can see things that other people can't. So, it's not always bad to be crazy. The people that are the dreamers tend to be the ones that make the most money. So, kudos to you guys. Cheers for sticking it out. And I'm sure a lot of people have been here a long time. I know it hasn't been easy, and I'm very confident it'll be worth it. All right, go ahead and roll on down here, see if there's any other super chats. Here we go. Dennis, 7Dennis123 says, Ripple equity. Seagate bought B round Ripple equity for pennies and has never marked it to market on their books. Way cheaper than Link to $110 a share. Cool. I will talk about the last round that we did for Ripple. We did the last round for Ripple at $28 a share in the Mastermind. So, we're able to find and source, private equity at a pretty good rate for people there, depending on, what people are interested in. I don't know when we will do another Ripple deal. The tender offer is ongoing. I can't talk about things publicly. When we are raising capital, it has to be through the Mastermind because we use a 506B Reg D fund. We work with people that are not accredited. They qualify as sophisticated investors by being there in the group because of the financial education and business resources that we provide. And we also have a pre-existing business relationship with you. So that allows us to involve non-accredited, sophisticated investors that understand the risks associated with the investment, and they're able to participate on those deals there in the group that they otherwise wouldn't be able to, which is super cool. It's been really fulfilling, and I'm excited to see Ripple go public this year, and a lot of people that invested that may have not been able to make a lot of money here in 2025. Epic Tetas, probably butchered that. They say, hey Jake, does your company or can you recommend one that operates in Australia for Australians regarding trust structure and crypto management? Much appreciated. God bless. We have a few partners there in Australia that can help you establish entities. Family trusts is what I recommend for most people, especially if their assets haven't appreciated a ton yet. You're going to have to pay some taxes. You might be mad about that, but paying these taxes now and getting those assets into the trust now, it's going to be much more lucrative over the long term rather than trying to move them in there after prices have appreciated. So we do have partners there, and it's not overly expensive. I think it's like 400 or 500 AUD for a family trust for the partnership that we have there. And we work with Australians on the wealth management. We have multiple Australians that have established a trust, either domestic to Australia or internationally in BVI or Dubai or Singapore that we work with, and would love to work with you in that capacity if it's something that you're interested in. We do require for the wealth management side that the assets are held in an entity. So here domestic in the U.S., we recommend an LLC just because tends to be the most cost-effective solution for that. Asset protection trusts here in the U.S. are not cheap. I've seen them done as little as 10 grand. The majority of which we see is around 18 to 25,000 to set up a domestic asset protection trust in Wyoming, specific for digital assets. So, and our attorneys have set more of those up than any other attorneys in the U.S. So, in Australia, I would say the attorney there that we work with probably has done more for crypto, more family trusts for crypto than pretty much anybody else also. Let's see here. This guy's really loving Seagate. I'm glad you found some shares over there. I know a lot of people, again, just haven't been able to source some that at a reasonable price. And if you were able to find some at a great price, I appreciate you sharing that here. I want people to get exposure if they want exposure, democratize access to private equity. I think there's a lot of people that should qualify as accredited that don't because of their income, and they don't get the opportunities to be able to become accredited because they can't make those investments, right? If you see an asymmetric bet because you're not accredited and you can't get in on the cap table, like what good is that? You know what I mean? Even if you do have the expertise, which sucks. So anyway, again, we just want to be able to provide that for people there in the mastermind group and have in the past, and we will continue to do that and foster, that ethos here in the future. But a YouTuber making an O face told me it was true. It wasn't me. I don't make O faces, not on camera. Let's see. Chadwick, he says, if you're reading this, hit the like button, thumbs up. Much XRP, over to y'all. Appreciate you, Chadwick, and for the super chat and for the support. On this side, we got Laserworks. They say when XRP goes down to 350 again, buy and sell at 345. Must be in Canadian dollars or another currency because it's currently at $2.40 something cents here in the US and USD. Numbed, Jake, are you planning on holding some XRP long term? Absolutely. Yeah, I don't ever want to sell all of my XRP. Imagine holding Bitcoin at $2 and liquidating your whole bag, even at $100. Like 50x is great, but you could have had, what it's gone to now, 50,000x. Dan Moorhead, who is the principal over there at Palantir. No, not Palantir. Geez, that's Peter Thiel. Pantera Capital. They were the first Bitcoin fund back in 2013. he has effectively generated 1,000x return, 100,000% on his portfolio for the people that he invested their assets or their pooled capital into Bitcoin in 2013, which is crazy. That's awesome. Super happy for Dan and his team over there to see the $100,000 Bitcoin cross that threshold and them to get that win. But again, same thing here. Like, borrow against it. If you have the ability to borrow against it, and you know it's going to go to $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 long term. Like, why would you sell it? Doesn't make any sense. You just continue to refinance it over time, hopefully at lower interest rates as those come down, and use that capital again to be able to put that to work to generate cash flows to service the debt plus the extra, and do it in ways that you're able to mitigate the taxes and the income off of that, and you never have to lose exposure to the asset. I think that there'll be lots of ways to be able to generate yield with your XRP in the future as smart contracts are brought to the mainnet through hooks. I think we're very short-sighted in the near term on the ability to earn yield on XRP. That's why we've put together solutions to be able to do that, because it doesn't, there are no, there's DeFi solutions, but your stuff gets rehypothecated and it's a lot of risk. We want to mitigate all that downside risk and risk of loss of the XRP and be able to generate yield and allow you to borrow against it at digital wealth partners in an insured, secure place. So, he said 235. I mean, it may come back down. Blazerworks. I watched Blockchain Backer, earlier today. He was talking about a potential pullback. If you look at the chart for how it reacted in the past, there was one more dip before it skyrockets. Maybe so. Maybe over the next 3 to 5 days here, we do see one more little pullback before she heads to the moon. But yeah, I plan on holding a lot. So, and also, people don't know this if you haven't watched this before. You can escrow your XRP. I don't know that I recommend doing that. I can tell you I have some that is locked away that I won't get back for years, just to make sure that I don't have to worry about messing it up. And I had the foresight to do that 4 years ago. So anyway, you can do that. All you have to do is go to the XRP toolkit. You can add your wallet to it and access it, and then play with that. First time I did it, I just escrowed it for like a day. I was like, I don't know if this actually comes back to you or not. But you can pick the wallet that it goes to and the time frame that it's held for, just like Ripple does with their escrow. That's a native network function, and anybody can use it for their XRP. Mr. Moore, he hits me with the 1230. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you on the super chat. He says, the domino theory that you put out seems to be right on schedule. January 23rd is when the BOJ votes on interest rates. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you being here and your support. And yeah, I'm with you. Maybe it'll take that long. And I'm okay if it does. We got Trump coming in on the 20th. I think things would have been a lot different had he won the election in 2020. I don't think Gold Bear would have been the way that he was on case with XRP, but we won't ever know. Biden did win the election in 2020. At least, they've never overturned that. There hasn't been a full proof of voter fraud or, the machines and stuff. So anyway, excited to see the new administration come into office and crypto regulation at the forefront. Henry Lou, what's going on, man? Hey, good to see you. He says, hey, Jake, just want to say appreciate you and DAG. Started my onboarding today. Cheers to an exciting 2025. Absolutely, brother. Cheers to you. Appreciate you partnering with us for your digital assets and your future, and excited to work with you and your family. Appreciate you on Super Chat also. Let's see. A few more people over here on TikTok. Where do I find XRP Toolkit? Just Google it. Just Google XRP Toolkit, and it'll be like the first thing that pops up. You can also check the rich list. So a lot of people don't know about that too. So it's rich-list.info. Our good friend Francis Bovine there on Twitter runs that. He runs a validator on the XRPL and pulls all that data so that you can look at that. And he tells you, how many wallets exist on the XRPL, the number of wallets that hold a certain amount of XRP, what percentage of wallets holds, a certain amount of XRP. So if you want to see if you're in the top 1% of wallet holders, or top 0.01% or 0.02% or 0.001%, like it gives you all those statistics. Pretty good little site. But yeah, the XRP toolkit is an unknown little secret for people. If you haven't ever played with that, I would encourage you to go check it out. Here we go. Kev Hayes says, go over your criteria for your services again. Also, would you sell crypto now to begin? Cash light, crypto strong. We're all broke, Kev. If you're in crypto right now, you your bank account, there's memes all the time I see. They're like, either a big butt or boobs, and they talk about like my bank account and my crypto wallet. Anyway, if you have to pay your bills, I wouldn't invest more than you're willing to lose, right? And I also wouldn't put money at risk that you need to pay your bills. Can't give you financial advice. You make your own choices. But I would say that that's probably the smarter way to go about it. Criteria for services just depends on where you're at. So we try to provide, I always try to do all three. So people come on here and they watch me. They may not even need anything I provide. They might get enough from this content here that they've learned everything they need to. They've surrounded themselves with professionals. They've got their Wyoming LLC set up. They're talking to Fidelity. They want to hold their assets there. They won't do XRP yet. They do Bitcoin and ETH. But my point with that is, I just want people to get thinking about these things. And then we do it done with you, right? So we hold your hand. A lot of people want to be involved on the investments or have oversight on their assets, and the estate planning and all that stuff. And then we also have it done for you, right? So that's kind of the cost tiers that go along with that. And we have everything from a guy that's just getting into crypto. If you want to be part of the mastermind, we get the free month there in the mastermind. If you want to check it out, it is mastermind.beyondbroke.com. And you can put in the code BeyondBroke, all capitalized, BeyondBroke, 1 MO, like Mary Oscar, at checkout, and that gets you a free month, right? So again, I try to do everything like people are, like you said, cash poor right now. We try to make sure that we provide ways that people can, get the education and all the benefits and not have to shell out a ton of cash, especially when you don't have it, right? On the other side of price appreciation, cool. Let's all, party and do Lambos and all the cool stuff. But for now, like eating ramen and beans and like scrimping it so that you can stick as much as you can over there. We're not here to like make a bunch of money off people. We really do want to help people. And we want to provide, 10 times the value of whatever we're getting compensated. That's my goal. I want people to feel like they wanted to pay me more for the service. So anyway, they're in the mastermind, $25 a month, the social membership. Super cheap. That's the same as Netflix, right? And then, if you want, the financial services and all that stuff, it does start to escalate. So to onboard, it's $1,000 to onboard with Digital Wealth Partners. The AUM fee there is 2% for anything less than 5 million. But again, you get institutional custody, you get the insurance. They're about to be able to generate yield on assets. You can add beneficiaries. Work with you and provide financial advice, set up companies for people that want to hold their digital assets. So it's $1,500. Well, I'll share that here with you guys. It's only $3,000 is what we charge to set up a company for somebody. But if you're watching this, you can put in the code 50 OFF DAG, like Digital Ascension Group LLC. So that's 50 off DAG LLC, gets you 50% off the $3,000 ticket price of the LLC. It does come with a registered agent, articles of organization, the EIN number, certificate of good standing, BOIR, or beneficiary of intent, filed with FinCEN if we need to. That's on pause right now because of the case here in Texas, which is awesome. And then we provide the template that you're going to need for an operating agreement for that specific type of company. whether it's a trading LLC or a holding company, to be able to borrow against your assets and then allocate that to other investments, or earn yield. Right, either one of those can earn yield. So it just depends on how frequently you're trading, realistically. But we do that for people. We can do the full set of estate planning, whether the asset protection trust LLCs in and around that, C corp, living trusts, any type of trust that you want, spendthrift trust, dynasty trust, waterfall trust, insurance trust, all that stuff. Our attorneys are able to set that up for you. We have CPAs that we work with that can file your taxes, do your crypto taxes. We have accountants we work with. We have other people that do philanthropic things and set up foundations, charitable remainder trust, public charity if you want to do a public charity, donor advised fund if you want to go that route. We have the PPLI, which is private placement life insurance. We can also do other insurance, whether that's an IUL or an annuity or a whole life policy. It all just depends. They're all tools that might make sense depending on where you are and what you need. And again, all these things are costs are across the board. We're working to productize all of this because I don't like to be nickel and dime. I talked about this in the mastermind today on our town hall. I like to know what my price is, what my budget was, and then know that it's handled. I work with attorneys, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't, it was outside of scope, and we billed you an extra $3,000 because of our time." I'm like, man, like, I hate that. Like, just tell me up front it's going to be 20 grand. Cool, I'll pay the 20, right? Because I know that it's all going to be included. Instead of charge me 15 here and then try to stick it to me for another 3 grand later on. Like, why? Anyway, I'm on my soapbox, but that's what we're doing. We're going to productize all this stuff, and you'll get a full list of everything that's going to be laid out. It's probably later on in Q1 here when we'll have that full list. We do work with family offices, and it's been kind of a la carte up to this point. But again, I don't like nickel and diming people or like stacking stuff. I'd rather just feel like, here's all you get. This is the price, and I think people will like that. People responded well in the mastermind today when I talked about it. What's the website again? I want in. It is mastermind.beyondbroke.com if you want to check it out. Again, the code is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like month, Mary Oscar. It gets you a free month there in the group, either social or Carbon One, if you want to go check it out. Let's see here. Do we have any other super chats? Here we go. Gerard. I'm butchering it. I'm sorry. Gerard. He says, has anyone asked the Japan guy recently about what he said to get his opinion? I've seen people say that he mentioned January 2025 in the actual quote, and I think I may have shortened it to 2025. I've seen that from a couple people here recently. So, give me another 4 weeks. I was wrong. I did say 2024, but if he said, his actual quote was January 2025, here we are. The reverse carry trade looks like it's going to unwind anytime, and we're 6 days into the month. So we got the new inauguration. You got a lot of things happening this month. I think this is going to be a huge month for crypto, a huge month for XRP, and a huge month for everything that everybody's been working for the past 5 to 7 years, if you've been here that long. Best cold wallet, again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but Decent. It's in the link in the bio. Again, we're an affiliate, fully disclosed. I do get paid if you buy one. It's like $5 that we make on it. I partnered with them because I do think it is the best cold wallet. I've used all of them: Trezor, LiPal, Engrave, Ledger. I like Decent the best, and so that's why we partnered with them. So yeah, if you can't do institutional custody, that's what I would recommend. Let's see here. I ordered Decent, received an empty box. From who, Buck? Man, so I'll say this: do not order it off Amazon or eBay, okay? And here's the reason for that. Somebody could have gotten the keys off there, and you're stepping into a trap. Only order from the manufacturer on that. And if you got it from the manufacturer, you need to let me know, because that's not okay, and we'll get that figured out and sorted for you. What do you think about using BitPay to store crypto? We actually set up an account with BitPay like today, because we have had so many clients that want to pay in crypto. I don't know that they're a good custodian. I wouldn't leave stuff on there. I'd definitely move it to a cold wallet. If you're going to use BitPay to accept crypto, or even just fiat payment, and you have a distribution split between crypto and fiat, or all to crypto, um, which is a cool thing. So we probably have some business owners on here. If you want to accept crypto, BitPay, awesome option. If you want to use a payment processor that could pay you in crypto, BitPay is also a great option. So if you want to accept fiat and then have a portion of that converted to whatever crypto you want, and then send that to a cold wallet, it's a great option for that, to be a retailer, or have merchant services, and be able to accept or get crypto out of the transaction. Sir Wally says XRP card. So Uphold, I think, is going to have an XRP card here in the near future. I think they're going to give you, if you're holding RLUSD on their platform, they're going to give you 5% returns, 5% return on that, which is pretty cool. I've had that in the past. They had a partnership with Global ID. They had a MasterCard. MasterCard is who we're going to work with at Anchorage to be able to provide the banking services for our clients on their fiat account there, both credit lines and debit card against their accounts, so that you can spend your crypto right out of your wallet here. The special one more for Mandy and Wally. Yeah, so again, if you guys want to go check out the Mastermind, it is mastermind.beyondbroke.com, and the code there is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like Mary Oscar for month. This person says Ledger X. Here's the S. Here's my X. Anyway, it's in here. I don't use it. I haven't used it in a long time, because I like the decent better. Again, think of early Bitcoin. Yeah, I would agree. I think XRP is like early Bitcoin. Wow. Okay, Izzy, thank you for the super chat. They say you're the best. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. I enjoy doing this. I like getting on here and chopping it up with you guys and answering good questions. You always have really good questions. I have all my crypto with Caleb and Brown. Okay. I'll be able to engage with the Mastermind Discord this week. Can't wait. Fantastic. Look forward to seeing you there. As I start my journey, what would you recommend I do to hit the ground running? I mean, if you're just now finding me on YouTube, there's a ton of people on YouTube that are great. We have a full list there in the Mastermind group of people that I look at for macroeconomics, crypto, and all that side. Excuse me. And then also people that I watch for motivational stuff. People that have been through and built large businesses and scaled multiple companies. I look for inspiration in people that have already built what I'm looking to do, and learn from them. And same thing on this stuff. I try to find people. When I first got into crypto, I watched a lot of Digital Dave and Kevin Cage. I would say even Blockchain Backer, if you're into TA, is great. I take everybody's information with a grain of salt, and then just kind of put together my own thesis on stuff. And I hope people do that with my stuff. Like, don't just take what I say for granted. That like gospel. It's definitely not. Obviously, wrong call on 2024 XRP going to the moon. But I do think, it's here still pretty close. Again, if it happens within the first month of 2025, like, I'm okay with being off a couple weeks. But anyway, that would be my recommendation. Just get around like-minded people. The Mastermind's a fantastic first step. I think, you'll be welcome there. There's a lot of people. I like being in situations or around groups of people that aren't 50 steps ahead of me. because then like what I'm going through is irrelevant for them. They've already been through it, and I've been through it so long ago that they can't even remember how to help me get through it. The people there in that group are going to be, 1, 2, 5, 6 steps ahead of you in their journey, and that group has been, the culture there is just fantastic. Second to none. People are always so helpful when people have questions, and there are no stupid questions. Um, Everybody there is to help everybody. So just getting the mastermind, I think, is a fantastic first step, and you'll definitely hit the ground running. Again, Stephanie over here says cold wallet recommendation, decent. Again, there should be a link in the bio on the YouTube if you want to go check that out. We are an affiliate, but again, I think it's the best one, and that's why we are an affiliate for them. G1 Octon, Galocton, is 50K XRP the minimum amount for DWP. If you are in the mastermind, we're going to offer that for the next 5 days here. This is the only time I'm going to say it publicly. If you have 50,000 XRP, you can get it into institutional custody and start earning yield on it. And get the financial advising, the insurance, all the other wonderful stuff over there. You do have to have it in an LLC or a trust, and you do have to pay the $1,000 onboarding fee. But if those are something you want to do, and you want beneficiaries listed on your accounts, you want your spouse to be a signer on your account, you want full visibility of the insured crypto, never rehypothecated, never commingled, the lowest fees out there for buying and selling crypto on Anchorage. No spread, 20 basis points, doesn't matter the amount that you're buying or selling. It's not like Kraken where you got to sell, buy or sell $1 million to get 20 basis points. Like, we take care of our clients. And again, there's AUM fees and other things associated with that. So all that plays in. But yeah, for the next 5 days, if you are in the mastermind group, we did pull that back down to 50,000. Getting close to the hour and a half mark here. Fire Marshal Bill says he loves the SHX. I think they'll get acquired. I think that's a good layer 2 there on Hyperledger. It's very interesting as a payment processor. James Hall, hey man, good to see you. He says, any news on Bitstamp, Robinhood, and derivatives as it relates to XRP? Thank you. So, when I went to CoinAlts in 2023, I had the privilege of going there because we were working with Standard Custody and PolySign at the time. MG Stover had been acquired by them. They were a sponsor of the event as well. And I got to listen to Brad speak on stage. Brad Garlinghouse had a keynote with Jack McDonald. And in that, it was recorded because Ray put it out later on, but he was not supposed to be recording that. Kudos, Ray. Love you mucho. Anyway, he talked about the 3 products that Ripple was working on when he first got to Ripple. So they had Ripple Payments, which is obviously the path that they went down. They also had Global ID, and they had Codius. And Codius is a platform where you can generate smart contracts, but it's specifically for the derivatives market. I don't think that ever went away. I think they developed it. I think it's sitting there. I think it's ready to rock and roll. They're in beta. If you want to go to codius.io, you can go look at it. I think that that'll be the platform that all of these players that you mentioned, both Bitstamp and Robinhood, and other people use for derivatives, and those will end up on the XRPL over the long term. So that's my thesis, my hypothesis. Again, this is based on being in rooms with people that say things, and I have conversations with. And my perspective is probably skewed significantly different than the average person because of those conversations and who I've been able to, I'm very grateful and blessed to have been in the presence of and been able to talk to over the years. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Bitstamp and Robinhood and derivatives. Robinhood was recently acquired by somebody, but they have listed XRP on there. And Bitstamp has, been partnered with Ripple for like the whole time, as far as I'm aware. Lauren, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing good. He says, hey, Jake, I can't wait to get my hands on the new book. What's your thoughts on Brad talking about a U.S. XRP reserve? I think that's going to happen for sure under Trump's administration. I think that XRP will be a tier one asset under the BIS. I don't think that they will ever have a strategic Bitcoin reserve here in the U.S. I think all that liquidity from Bitcoin ends up in XRP. And I don't want people that own Bitcoin to lose money. Again, I'm just one guy on the internet. Take it with a grain of salt. Just my thesis. But yeah, I'm highly confident that the U.S. already holds XRP. Greg Kidd made an introduction to the Federal Reserve in 2013, 2014. He was one of the first 10 employees at Ripple, him along with Bob Way. And he made that introduction, and then when they talked to the Fed back then, it's the only way that the U.S. offsets its debt. Like, it's the only thing that makes sense. I've been through every possible scenario that I could think of, and this is the easiest way for them to do it, and it makes the most sense for the adoption of stablecoins here in the U.S. So anyway, we'll see if that ends up being the case. But yeah, super bullish on that, and I appreciate you mentioning the book. We do have a few more people on here now, so if you wouldn't mind going and checking out Wealth in Numbers, it's a new release. It's a book there on Amazon. You can put in Wealth in Numbers Jake Claver or Wealth in Numbers Max Avery, who is my partner. We published that book together for Syndicately, the launch of that platform, where we are able to do all of the compliance and regulation administration for SPVs, 506B and 506C Reg D funds here in the U.S. And that's what the book's about: how to raise capital using a Reg D fund here in the U.S. So pretty comprehensive, really good read. If you don't want to have to do all of the administrative and regulatory compliance, you just use our platform. You don't have to worry about that. So anyway, thank you for the kind words. Thank you for ordering the book. And again, super bullish on XRP becoming a tier one asset and the U.S. having a strategic reserve of XRP. Let's see, we got a couple more super chats here. Off the Grid says top 5 cryptos for now and through 2035. Ooh, XRP, HBAR. That's a long time. There could be other stuff that's put out, beyond that point. I'm gonna say XRP, XLM, HBAR, DAG, Avalanche. Top 5. Those are my bet. We'll see how close that is. Again, I'm happy to say if I'm wrong, but I think the top 3 will be in the top 5 for sure. Altcoin's another one. I think that there'll be some type of network that's a DPIN protocol for data storage, hot data storage. I don't know what that's going to be yet, though. Maybe an AI token. So maybe I'm off base on that. We'll see. But you had a merge of like Fetch, AGI, and one other one. That's probably the best bet on the AI front. And it could be a gaming token too, like Gala or something. There's going to be a ton of people that are playing games in the future. Chadwick says Mastermind is like being at XRP Las Vegas every day. Wow, what a compliment, man! Thank you. But it does not cost $1,000. No, definitely does not. We do offer upfront. If anybody wants to pay for the year for Carbon One, we'll cut off 2 months and just do $1,000 upfront. So it could be $1,000, but you get the whole year for $1,000. He says plus to learn a lot and meet a lot of like-minded people that are amazing. Thank you for the kind words, and again, super grateful to have you in the group and all the other wonderful people that we have there. Almost 1,200 people in the Mastermind. Continue to grows every day, and yeah, super excited for 2025 here and everything that we're going to be able to accomplish there in that group. With price continue to go higher. Got another one over here. James Hall mentioned this before. We already been through that one. Florid. Just making sure I'm not missing any super chats here. People that pay want to make sure that you get your questions answered. Looks like that's going to be it over here. We got a couple more minutes left, so we're going to go to TikTok and answer just a few questions that I can find. Henry, it'll be in a basket of commodities along with XRP and a few others. Um, so I think you're referring to the SDR, so the special drawing right that's issued by the IMF. It's kind of like the liquidity of last resort. I agree with you. I think that XRP will end up in that basket as one of the currencies. It needs to be adopted by Luxembourg or Lithuania, I think is the other one. There's one other small country that they've talked about doing that in and adopting XRP as their native currency. In order to sit in the basket, you need a country to adopt it as its native currency, and then they would also have to position that country, you know, in the top 7 countries in the world so that that asset could sit in the basket. Um, I don't think that XRP represents the ESDR. It's going to be a basket of currencies based on GDP, just like it sits now. John Maynard Keynes put that idea forth in 1944 at the Bretton Woods Conference. He talked about the Bancor coin or the Bancor currency that the IMF would control. I do think that that's probably where this ends up. I think that each nation will have its own sovereign currency backed by whatever commodities it's holding, gold or oil. Back their treasuries, and then the stable coins will be backed by the treasuries that are issued by the nation. You'll still owe taxes in whatever currency is denominated there. I do think that a large portion of taxes potentially go away using this new standard. We operate under the pretense that that doesn't happen until it actually does. So we do work with a lot of tax attorneys and CPAs to be able to mitigate taxes. But I do think that there stands to be a large reform of the U.S. tax code and tax codes globally, especially under the monarchy. I'm hopeful that the UK and Australia and the other jurisdictions that are under the crown have a significant reform in their tax laws. But we'll see. Until it happens, it hasn't happened. So you have to operate the way things are. But anyway, super bullish here on 2025 for altcoins in particular. I think Bitcoin is in distribution here. Maybe we'll see a little bit. It could touch like 115, maybe. I was wrong. I thought it would go to 75,000, and obviously that was way short of where she ended up. But I do think that Tether is going to collapse here in the near future, and we are going to see a liquidity crisis across exchanges, and chain analysis theory will prove correct, and XRP will have its day in the sun. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Again, if you want to reach out and talk to me or my team, you can go to digitalfamilyoffice.io. There you can set up your LLC with the code I mentioned earlier, 50 off DAG LLC, get you a Wyoming LLC with all the stuff that I mentioned. And then that is also kind of the precursor to work with Digital Wealth Partners. You can go check it out at digitalwealthpartners.net. Set up a consult, financial advice with them, or work with us for institutional custody. And then again, if you just want to be part of a community that's like-minded and excited about the future, wants to learn about investing, financial education, business resources, you can go check that out at mastermind.beyondbroke.com. And again, the code there for the free month, if you do want to check it out, is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like Mary Oscar or month. We'll see you guys Wednesday. I'll be back 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for the weekly live and Q&A there. Until then, God bless, and we will see y'all on the next one.